guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would make a video about how I got my diagnosis of bipolar type 2 disorder, simply because I've had a lot of people who suffer themselves who don't have a diagnosis and are like, how the hell did you get a diagnosis? So that's what I thought I would make this video about today. It took me a really long time to get my diagnosis, simply because I didn't have a good relationship with my GP. I didn't have a good relationship with him at the time. I was seeing lots of other doctors. They just wanted to give me antidepressants, and at that time I was extremely against medication. I think the fact that I was really against medication didn't help me at all. I guess doctors automatically want to give you drugs to help you, because I guess that's just how they work. It was really tricky trying to find somebody who understood. That did take a while, which meant I was suffering for a good few years all alone without a diagnosis, trying to work and being really ill. There was a time when I started to go through a really rough patch. It was really stressful on my family members. We already kind of knew that I had bipolar. Obviously you look things up and you self-diagnose, so everything that I was reading about bipolar 2 was just resonating with me, and I was like, this must be what I have. I basically chatted a lot with my mum. I was working for her business at the time. We worked together, and I was really struggling with work. Most days I couldn't get up, and even when I did get up and go to work, quite often I would be ill during the day, so I couldn't complete my work. It was really stressful because we didn't know what was going on. We didn't feel like we had any help or support from anybody, and we were just left to deal with it all on our own, and that's a really horrible thing. That's the main reason I want to make this video, is because nobody should have to be alone dealing with this. So one of my mum's clients, she had bipolar disorder, but she had type 1. We got chatting to her, we kind of confided in her, and she actually gave us a name of a private psychiatrist. Although it was a lot of money, my mum made sure that I had an appointment with him. She paid it on her credit card and she didn't care. We were so desperate for somebody to understand and to give me that diagnosis that I felt I deserved, and that's what happened. I did actually get my initial diagnosis from a private psychiatrist. So he diagnosed me. I was still against medication. I really wanted to try everything natural. I wanted to go down the alternative route. He was very supportive of that. He talked to me about things like meditation and stuff. At the time I thought that would really help. He said to me that he didn't want to put me on medication because of how young I was. He said that with medication like that, it's normally a lifelong thing, and he didn't want me to go on medication if I didn't have to. So off I went with my diagnosis, feeling a lot better because I'd had it and it was in writing, and it got sent back to my GP. I felt like somebody understood, gave me a label, you could say, but I needed it. I needed it to help me get better, so I knew what I was dealing with, and it did really help. Unfortunately, things started to get bad. I tried lots of alternative stuff. That did help, it does help, but it wasn't enough. I have done a video on that, and if you're interested, I will link it in the description below. It wasn't enough. I was really suffering. I was suffering with hallucinations as well. I had to go back to my GP. I spoke to him and he told me about a service called Lift. Lift is like like a talking therapy. I went to see a guy there. I was able to put myself forward for that, so I kind of self-referred myself to see this guy at Lift, which was also, it was all based at the doctor's surgery, so that was great because I didn't have to go far. When I seen him, I had to fill in one of those stupid forms, which I really hate, about from 0 to 10, how likely have you been to be like this, or been suicidal, or had depressive thoughts, and I just hate those bloody forms. I've had to fill in so many. You will understand if you've had to do those bloody forms, but yeah, I filled in one of them and I spoke to him, and it seemed great. He was like gonna help me until I mentioned my hallucinations, and then his face changed and he was basically like, I can't help you. My first reaction was like, fuck, nobody can help me. I've had this diagnosis, he can't help me, what do I do now? Do I just go home and just continue suffering? And luckily he said to me that in the city of Bath, which is not far from me, he said in Bath there's a hospital there, there's a mental health department, there's a team called the Early Intervention. They deal with people in the early stages of psychosis. I then got referred from him to go and see the Early Intervention team. I am still under the Early Intervention team. If you're in England, I think it's only like Baines area, like Somerset, but I think out of that, like, the Early Intervention team doesn't exist. I don't know, like there must be other teams, because I've had family members outside of my area asking how do they get help, and I haven't been able to say the Early Intervention team because they don't have that in their area. You really do have to look and do your research as to what help there is in your area. I had the Early Intervention team and they work with you for a total of 5 years. 5 years or 3 years? No, I think it's 3 years. I have still like another year with them. When I went to the Early Intervention team, I seen a psychiatrist who I'm seeing now, and I have a good relationship with him as well, and I trust him a lot. And through that I had like a nurse come out and see me as well. So I am under that team, so I'm really lucky that I get a lot of help from them. They have spoken to me about discharge, which means they will discharge me from their team in about a year's time. Then I get referred back to my GP. I can then go on to what they call the recovery team. It's for people that are in recovery, which is what I would be in because I'm on the road to recovery. I would probably say I'm in recovery already, but I'm making sure that they don't discharge me too soon, because, you know, with funding and stuff, they'll be like, oh, toodle pip, off you go. No, I'm not going. You can't get rid of me that easily. I'm under them for another year, and then I'll go to the recovery team. I don't know what the recovery team is like. I've never been on it. It's something new. It's something I will talk about when I go through it. Basically, that is how I went about getting my diagnosis. I did have to go private, and we did have to shell out quite a lot of money, but I do believe if you are forceful enough with your GPs, that they should give you a diagnosis. One thing that I always found really helped is to over exaggerate everything. They'll always say, well, you're just perhaps having a bit of depression, and it's not that. It's not just depression, you know, and it really annoys me when they just try and palm you off with antidepressants. I've had antidepressants, they don't do anything. It's really difficult because you have to be forceful, but then at the same time, when you're ill and you don't have the energy, to fight and try and get that diagnosis. So I highly recommend, if you have family members that understand, to get them to help fight your case. It's really important. I think people do need that diagnosis, and I don't have any problem at all with labels. Like, people are like, oh yeah, but you're labeling yourself. Yeah, because what I am, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you can't say that somebody in a wheelchair isn't disabled when they are clearly disabled. It's just because it's not physical doesn't mean that it's not real, and that's always the struggle with mental illnesses. you're always gonna come face to face with that situation where people don't believe you because it's not physical. I really hope this video could have been of some use for people, I guess, in the UK. You really do need to just find what area you are in and look on Google as to what services there are. There are loads of services out there that are offering help on the NHS. We are really lucky to have the NHS. And yeah, if you find you're not having much luck, you really need to talk to somebody, and you are struggling a lot, then there are places to call, like Samaritan. There are places that you can call. I know under the team that I am under, there is a crisis team, so if I was to become really suddenly unwell, then I could actually call the crisis team, and they would either bring me into hospital, or you know, they would get an appointment really quickly with my psychiatrist. So I'm really lucky that I am under a really good team, a really good load of people and numbers that I can ring, so I really don't feel too worried when anything bad happens, because there's always backup. I really hope that if you're suffering out there, I really hope that you can get the help that I have had, and that you've got people to talk to and you've got support. If you don't, and you really don't know where to turn, you can always comment on my videos and I will always message you, chat with you. You're not alone. There's so many people out there, and by making videos it's just making it more and more well known. I love to speak out about it. I'm so passionate about it because obviously I suffered myself, and I've met so many lovely people through making this channel. It's unbelievable. So yeah, I really hope that you get the help you deserve. If you are getting help, I hope that you are doing well and that the help is good enough for you. Yeah, I just hope this video can help, and I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye. Lots of love.